Okay, Charlie, as you know, this morning, topic is on call of time. We ask practical questions, as a Brahmin day to day. I think now the first thing we start on the question this morning is call of time as a Brahmin, as an individual, what we should do in this call in this short time. No matter how much time left, doesn't matter. In this short time, as an individual, what we must do as a Brahmin, secular as a family, as a center. So on two aspects, if Charlie can cover the first portion, as an individual PK, in terms of spiritual effort, as an individual PK, what must I do to speed up my effort or whatever before the cycle ends? And as a collective, as a family, as a center, what must we do together?
So thank you, Pure Bai. As an individual, just about maybe 3 months ago at Amrit Vela, the day before Baba had been saying, children, it's time to go home, it's time to go home, it's time to go home. And I had such a powerful experience of going home, but it was so profound that to go home, I have to leave absolutely everything. And I had this experience, I have to leave my body, all my family relationships, my roles, my possessions, my image, my absolutely everything. All of us are going to leave 100% very soon. Am I ready? Am I ready to really for this final journey, which is in a sense our whole Brahman life is this training for this final journey and that's where I feel for me to prepare now. One of the main things I focus on is detachment. To me, detachment's a very, very high state of spirituality. And I often say, who's the most loving at Shiv Baba? Who's the most detached? Shiv Baba. Because sometimes there's just this sort of uneasy feeling about detachment for different reasons. But I really feel that we have to prepare myself because, if I do the work now of really, really letting go the consciousness of my body, my bodily family, sometimes we have 84, bodily families or for the whole cycle, but we become so dependent on this one. And all of us are going to have to leave it. We have to leave absolutely everything. If I start to do the work now, rather at the end, it'll be really stressful, extremely stressful. And this is the deep work of this life of disinterest in this world. And I feel the world's collapsing. We just now have to stand back and begin to let go everything. But at the same time, I think, how can I create my eternal fortune? It's now that I'm creating my part of every cycle. And if I really remember one Baba, and I really serve, my whole life is, and I really mean more spiritual service, which is for every human being I come across, benevolence, good feelings, just for everybody. To me, the angel is in love with one and has benevolent feelings for everyone, whoever they are, whether they love you, they don't love you, they respect you, they don't respect you, they cooperate, they don't, it doesn't matter. My task as the angel is just to give to everybody. And I think, why are we remembered as the angels at the end of last cycle? That all the religions remember, because this is how we were. We were in this really just completely in love with one and serving everybody. And all of us can create our fortune. But the biggest obstacle is our self-imposed prison. We limit ourselves. Or we think, oh, that's the seniors, that's the daddies. No, it's all of us. It's all of us. And the greatest body consciousness is I put these self-imposed limitations. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. I'm not pure enough. I can't give talks. I can't do this. This is all body consciousness. I put myself in this prison of my own thinking. And yet we all have to step out and step up and play our part of last cycle. So I try in Amrit Vela tomorrow, having the feeling you're about to go home, and just you have to leave absolutely every single thing. Am I ready? Because this is the deep work, I feel, the training, which we have to think about, but it's a healthy thing. It's like all the supports are going, even in Brahmin life, We used to go to Madhaban to meet Baba, used to go to Madhaban to meet the daddies. None of that is here now, but actually it's good because we have to have our own foundation, me and Baba, and to prepare. So I think as individually, I feel strengthen the link and just say, Baba, in whatever situation, whether I'm a family person working, whoever, I'm going to be benevolent. I'm going to be the angel who gives to everybody. But as a center, I feel that, for instance, in this country, whether the centers that, we're God's children, and every soul in this country is a child of God, whatever their religion. And I think we should really open our mind, not just to serving one group in the country, but really serving everybody. And I think we've been talking about this a little bit because, to experiment a little and see what works. Because in Vietnam recently, they did some market research of what people want. And incredibly, they're teaching everyone meditation. People didn't want meditation at all, no one. But they do want self-change. And they began to realize that often what we think people want, they're not looking for. They are looking for some of Baba's things. They want self-transformation. They want peace of mind. And so once they did that, they designed a course that they felt is relevant because they have to be very careful in that country to the majority of the population. And when they advertise a course, most times over 100 to 150 come. 100 to 150 every course, because in most countries now, the numbers of courses are going down. So I think maybe Baba's suggesting to us to be a bit open-minded. We have to serve all the population of the country, the Muslim population, the other religions as well, because they are Baba's children in whatever way is possible. Now we have to because I really feel Baba's the father of all souls. We should be so unlimited. Everyone is our brother, everyone. Not just to serve the ones we know are receptive. Probably most of the air quality souls have come. I may be wrong there, but still, each human soul has a right to have their little drop from Baba. How are we going to do it? How are we going to really? So I think that's one thing, to think on a really unlimited way. Malaysia has one of the biggest families in the world outside of India. So how are we all going to take responsibility? Daddy Prakashmani used to have a saying, I loved it, each one teach one. The biggest thing, don't limit yourself. Often we think, I'm not so educated, I'm not this, I'm not that. You've recognized Baba. I think we have to step out and have the courage to try something to help Baba in some way, not limit myself. So that's there. But in the centers, I feel personally, the way we glorify Baba is unity. And unity is a very, very deep thing, because Baba once said unity is based on individual purity. And when a group of us have individual purity, we will work together even though we are different. To me, maturity spiritually is to work together with different people with different sanskaras. We are all different. That's a fact. We all love Baba, but we have different backgrounds, different sanskaras. And maturity is to learn to work and not, really feel things have to be my way or according to what I feel, but really have that big heart. I feel really Baba will be glorified when well, you know what once Baba said? Baba will be glorified when someone of every religion, every background, every culture, every profession says, my Baba. We are souls. We're all souls. And if we just think of each other as souls, but that spiritual maturity to actually get over sort of differences. And I think this is really, really deep spirituality when we do it. And when the centers work together as a team, really with love and respect, you watch how many people will come, because there's no unity anywhere in this world. But to have deep unity, I have to really be extremely humble. We all have to become very humble. And I often feel, if you live in the heart of the Brahmin family, you will become humble. Would you agree? It's healthy. We do get feedback. Rather than being sensitive about it, just, we've all got to learn, because really, when we're all together and we work harmoniously, magic will happen. Baba will be glorified. And that's, to me, that's not so much a plan for out there. When we have this much spiritual depth, yoga and wisdom to work together, even though we're different, that's, to me, how Baba will be glorified.
Yeah, Charlie, can you just elaborate the point that what you really meant by live in the heart of the family? Is it you're popular in the family, or is it that you get support of the family? And can you elaborate a little bit more in detail? Probably in a subtle aspect, living in the heart of the BK family.
That's what I was meaning. What is the role of the BK family? I feel the family will make me pure. Because if I can live in the heart of this family and maintain good relationships, my sanskaras have changed. But along the way, there will be differences. It's actually normal. It's not wrong. There will be, because we are different. The issue is not the difference, it's how I react to them. Do I react in the old way where I get emotional, I get hurt, I take sorrow, complete body consciousness? Or do I apply gyan? Do I just understand that everyone is different? Everyone has different sanskaras, and that being here, I have to have good wishes and pure feelings. Each one's playing their part. Do I use gyan? Mostly we just drop gyan and we go back to our old emotions, and we just, So that's, I think, if you live in the heart of the Brahmin family, it will make you egoless in a sense. And that's why we're here. Quite frankly, some people move away from the Brahmin family because they get so sensitive about many things. And they point the finger at the family. It's not the family, it's me. If I avoid the family, it's me. It's my own ego, which can't work. But sometimes intellectually, we can be very clever and say they're like this has happened, that's happened. But actually, and that's why this family is an amazing part of self-transformation. Just to live in the heart of the family, and everyone, sometimes you're put forward, sometimes someone else. Sometimes you're praised, sometimes someone else. Sometimes you're given the opportunity, sometimes someone else. It's actually healthy. It's completely healthy. And I feel, I really love this family. It's such an incredible family, the Brahmin family. And if you have the wisdom to learn, you can grow so much. But if you keep taking disrespect or sorrow from scenes of drama, then, we can't really progress spiritually.
Yeah, we just move on, Charlie. I see in relation to the topic all of time, is the situation in the world is getting from bad to worse. You look at the news that we're hearing every day, practically more and more sorrowful news comes in. So the question now is, what do we do as being a Brahmin? We are also in the outside world, dealing with people outside and situation outside. We are lucky enough, we are involved in those situations. So what should we do as a Brahmin seeing situation in the world is so bad, getting from bad to worse?
One, I think we don't need to keep talking about it and analyzing it. That's one thing. But I feel we should have mercy for people. I really feel we should have mercy for everyone, not judgment, because sometimes even as Brahmins, when we see people under their suffering and their body consciousness and their ego and their greed and all these sorts of things, we comment on it and we have judgment. You know, like Baba, you know, when Baba, it really touches me when Baba says, children, can you hear the cries of the devotees? Can you hear the suffering in the world? The human race is suffering so much. They might look good, but the mind is so full of hurt and pain and sorrow. Because sometimes, to be honest, I feel we get so self-absorbed, we Brahmins. I get so absorbed in me, my life, my problems, my issues, what I have to do. This is a life to serve the world. And I mean, you know, maybe we can't do it physically, but mentally. And I feel that we should have so much mercy for our fellow. This is an angel. An angel suspends judgment. We could be judge on 1,000 levels, the problems, analyze the problems. We can all do that very cleverly. And the media is doing that constantly, constant criticism and putting down and defamation. But we should have so much mercy for our human family. And, you know, recently I've met some people and the extreme suffering. I met one lady. She was so anxious. She was like this. I just could not believe. I felt so much. And I think it's really our part. We are Baba's instruments. If I'm always sort of thinking about me and my life and, oh, this is happening, a little bit of concern, anxiety about the future, no. We should feel my life is to serve the world. This is why we're here, actually. And if we step out of our limitations and really give, honestly, look how many are here. You could do amazing things in Malaysia if we all step up and step out of that self-imposed limitation and just promise Baba, I'm going to love you and have mercy for everybody and really compassion, so that when people come to our centers, they really feel we understand and have compassion for what they're going through, because it's extreme. And I believe that, you know, when Baba says Gyan Bhakti Vairagya, Gyan is golden and silver age, the result of truth. Bhakti, copper and iron age. Vairagya, I feel it will get so bad in this world, so bad that all of us will feel, Baba, it's time. We're ready. We're ready to pack up and go home. Do you feel that? Because we know that when we're ready to reach that stage, actually it's going to free all the human souls from this extreme suffering that is going on. And even, you know, you could go into so many stories. We all know them about the suffering. And that's where I feel that the call of time is to step up, you know, really with one Baba and become the angel to serve, to give. We can all do it. The only issue is I limit myself, because I think I sort of have a semi-body conscious view. I'm not so educated. I'm not a good speaker. I haven't done this. I haven't learned this. We put all these limits. But in Baba's view, and I remember when I first met Baba, my first meeting, personal meeting, I had such an experience. I sat in front of Baba. He gave me drishti. Baba talked to me like I was up here, you know. He talked to me in such an elevated way, and I realized I saw myself down here, you know. And that vision on yourself is the most powerful obstacle in life. We limit ourselves completely. But Baba sees my potential. He sees beyond the final birth, but I'm stuck still in my limitation. But really, this life is stepping out of my limitation into Baba's vision and having courage. When you hear the story of the daddies, I feel they were, when Daddy Janki once told us in London, when she was a young girl, she said a dog would bark and she'd jump, She said, I was such a nervous little thing. I can't imagine it really, but, how did she become great? It's Baba. And I remember when she came to Melbourne, we had the World Parliament of Religions, and we were chatting. She said, really, I don't have any fear anymore. Just imagine freeing yourself from having so many fears that even if a dog barked, you free yourself from fear. Fear of death, fear of illness, fear of anything. What a power. Who made her that? Baba and knowledge has made her that. So she stepped up, and we're not daddy jankies, I understand that. But we can step up to our own level. We can really.
Shall we move on to the next question? I think part of us in this whole real, so we have our Lokik, in our Lokik family, that means part of them, they are staying with their Lokiks. So the question now is, as you mentioned earlier, time to return back home. I think one of the things we look very deeply is settling all the karmic accounts, settling all karmic accounts with both the families, with your Lokik and your Lokik family. Because some of us are fortunate, we only have a Lokik family, we don't have a Lokik family, but I think quite a big percentage here having both families. So the question is, what should we do in the short term? How do we settle all the karmic accounts with both families, especially on the Lokik side, where they are not in knowledge and we are the only one back home in knowledge, and how really problems coming, accounts with them, how do I settle it peacefully so that they can return back in a dignified way?
Well, I think that all of us have our own unique situation, and whether we live in a center, we're a professional person, whether we live in a family or we live in a family and a professional person, and it's good in a way. We all have our own unique set of circumstances, which in a way still we have gyan to move beyond the sort of the limitations of that or the influence of that. That's what we're all trying to do in a sense. And, I used to have this saying for myself that, when a problem comes or when an account comes, like in your Lokik family, I used to ask myself the question, am I increasing my account? Am I sustaining my account, or am I settling my account? If a situation happens, a problem happens, whatever, and think. I just overthink about it, and then I start to talk to people. I would say I'm increasing my account. I've come to Baba to wind up all my accounts to go home, but sometimes we even increase it. If something happens, and I think, and even in meditation, I'm churning, they've said this and the family's doing this, and I would say I'm sustaining my account. But if something happens and I use Gyan, and I really feel the main problem often is we don't apply Gyan. It's actually, we have God's truth, but to apply it to situations, actually, there's a truth for every single situation. But sometimes, as I was saying, we become very emotional rather than knowledgeful. And so we allow the situation to conquer me rather than me conquer the situation. But at the heart of it, I think what Baba was saying, actually 2 or 3 times over the last few months in the Avyak Moli, Baba said, children, promise not to take sorrow from anyone. Who tried to do that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa. This is at the heart of it. I think why we're in a family, why we're in a professional life, even in a center, is to live with people, interact with people, and close the account of sorrow, the addiction to being hurt, being influenced, being affected. It's so deep in us. And there's three accounts that I see. There's the account of giving sorrow. And most of us are so careful not to hurt people, aren't we? You think sometimes you even dance around some people because you just don't want to upset anybody. But sometimes our karma is that we have a part of our personality, we're abrupt, we're a bit short, or something that upsets people. You know, I had no intent of hurting anyone, but a part of my personality rubs people up the wrong way and they get a bit upset. That's my karma, actually. And if I can learn from that. The second is the account of taking sorrow from the self. Sometimes I think that's one of the biggest accounts where I make a mistake, I do something wrong, you know, I have a high expectation, I don't live up to my expectation, and I give myself a lot of sorrow about myself, probably the biggest account. But the third is taking sorrow from others. And in a way, as Baba said, we feel so responsible not to hurt others, but we don't feel responsible not to take hurt from others. And we do. Even as Brahmins, we are still doing that. And this is where I think if I make that effort for 1 month in the family, because if I'm not accepting sorrow, I really feel that will change an atmosphere. It's a very subtle and deep thing. Karmically, you've stepped out of this karmic game of give sorrow, take sorrow, give sorrow, take sorrow, hurt, upset, all that sort of stuff. And I promise I am not going to take sorrow from a Brahmin or even a Lokik person. I think it's a very powerful thing. It's almost like then I'm closing my karmic story for the cycle. I'm winding up the game of increasing my accounts. I'm going to follow Srimat, follow Baba, and give respect to everybody. Now it is a high stage, but this is why we have Baba. Baba gives us this power to do this. And, I feel to give respect is a very powerful thing. And that's not a superficial thing. It has to be, I might say, I might say nice things, but if my mind's not aligned and I'm thinking something different, it has no power. When I genuinely give respect, then people feel uplifted by my company, and you can even change people, in your family. I, in a way, think that living in the family is a great method for transformation. Living in a center with other people is a great method for transformation, because there's only one way. You've got to become more elevated spiritually. There's only one method. If I spend my time criticizing and complaining, they should change, this is not right, does it ever get better? Never. I've never seen. But when I change, and it's a very high destination. And, one thing I do feel is that sometimes when we feel uncomfortable, when a situation, a family member, a Brahmin family, I feel discomfort. I'm a bit ill at ease, there's something happening and it's affecting me. Often we run away. We want to avoid that person, avoid that situation. Actually, they're the very things that help me grow spiritually. It's actually good to feel uncomfortable, I feel, because it's showing you where you need to do the work. If I'm uncomfortable, it's showing me somewhere there's something I need to learn to be okay, to be in that sweet place. And all of us, I feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I think, why? Rather than point the finger at the situation, why am I not finding this so easy? why is this happening in my mind? What's in my attitude that's not working? Because ultimately, when you really become knowledgeful, you can feel comfortable in most situations. So don't run away. If we live in our comfort zones, we think, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, my stage is good. But actually, I designed my life to avoid challenging things. You can do that easily as a Brahmin. We can hide away from things that challenge me and tell me I'm okay, tell myself I'm okay. And this is why I often feel to be in the front line of service, you will be challenged definitely. And it's healthy. It's healthy to be a bit challenged, and that's how you learn. And I always found with Daddy Janki, I found her so amazing that if ever something has sort of affected her or influenced, she'd really go deep and think and observe herself and think how I can change it. And to me, that's the way, that's a knowledgeful soul. Not designing my life that anything I feel I'm a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit threatening, I just avoid it. I run in the other direction. That's more the sannyasi approach to, to life than the Brahmin approach to life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie, the next question you were bringing up earlier on is a challenge in service. I think out of dadis, other than daddy, most dadis are not around. I think so far the only one, I think Charlie have traveled a lot, correct?
Mm.
Charlie have traveled to many countries, many countries. I think how many countries you have been, Charlie? Share with the family. Up to now, you have been for service. How many countries you have been?
I think I've been to 100.
Okay, so in conjunction with that, Charlie, this is aspect of purity and impurity in service. Earlier, I like the point you mentioned early days when we printed any books, Baba's books, we don't put our name there. We don't put our name, the author, we say it's by the Brahma Kumaris, send this center, that center, that's all. So probably Charlie can highlight a little bit about purity and impurity in Baba's service. Can you just touch a little bit? I know it's a big subject. So what is purity in Seva? What is impurity in Seva?
I think those few things Baba mentioned this morning were beautiful, weren't they? When you accumulate those 4 things. But probably the first 2, I would say, are the most important, that we are instruments. And this is God's work. It's God's center. This is Baba's family. It's not mine. And it's so deep in us when we come in here because of our insecurity to sort of claim a role, a responsibility, whatever, to give me a sense of who I am, because when you have, when we all walk into Brahman life feeling quite empty and vulnerable, and what I've seen is that in essence, we take birth, I'm a Brahmin, I love Baba, I'm committed to this life, and I sort of let go this sort of gross ego, so to speak. And that's often built around my body, how I look, what I wear, my family, name, and all this sort of stuff. We can let that go pretty quick. But sometimes what happens within Brahman life, I see there's a huge service to be done, so much service. And I say, Baba, I want to help. But it flushes out a whole lot of sanskaras, competition, jealousy, my way, your way, I'm right, you're wrong, is defensiveness, hundreds of sort of, I used to think it's wrong, but I realize now it's a part of the journey. It will flush it out. But it's all, what has happened is we rebuild our network of I and my within Brahman life. We leave it of the world, that I'm the CEO of the company. Most Brahmins, not all, but I leave all that stuff. That doesn't really matter now. But now I rebuild it in Brahman life. And what happens is that I rebuild this structure, and because I haven't got full self-respect, so I want sort of acknowledgement, recognition, position within this family. And it flushes out that stuff, and all that stuff, the jealousy, the competition, the my role, your role, means I'll come in conflict with people. And quite honestly, some people, I'm committed to Baba. It's my life to be with Baba, but I'm not that happy because I'm just so caught up in all the politics of people. And I sometimes point the finger to the family, but it's me. It's me. It's me. It's always me. And I feel we come to this point where we have to step out of it. And that's when I feel it's Baba's family, it's Baba's center. But we do get very caught up in this I and my culture, what Baba was even saying this morning. And then the more I do, the more unhappy I become. And one thing that I've realized is that, jealousy is quite a big thing. And I think you can't underestimate the effects of jealousy in our relationships. And Baba mentioned it last week, actually. And I've thought about it quite a bit because once Daddy Janki said, jealousy is the seed of all obstacles. And I can remember thinking, really, Daddy, all obstacles? And when I thought about it, I think jealousy is the seed of so much of the differences that emerge on the journey. Because we let go the gross ego, but we rebuild the subtle. I still have a sense of self. And maybe we should have traffic control. Just briefly, this role of I and my, is the sort of, it really disturbs Baba's service because it's Baba's service. And jealousy is one of those things where jealousy is an emotion experience, an anticipation of losing something I value. So I value a relationship with a Brahmin member or a senior, and a third party comes who seems to be friendly too, and it threatens something I value. I value my role. Someone comes who's really clever, capable. It threatens. I don't realize, I think it's them. Because first we compare, then we feel threatened, then we oppose, we don't trust, I'm convinced it's them, but actually it's my jealousy. And often I think we don't often realize that a lot of our differences with people is that some people do threaten something that I value within this divine family. And it's deep work, The daddies may have told you that you could imagine in the yagya for 14 years, imagine how jealousy was there sometimes. It was quite a lot because Baba was there. Everyone wanted Baba's affection. There's some amazing stories because it flushes out. That's what I feel. It will come out. So do I realize it's me, or do I find myself opposing someone, going against someone, not trusting someone? Often the seeds are my own jealousy in that way. So these things, I think, are the obstacles in Baba's service.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. Charlie, we move to the second portion of the program. That is question answer. So the 4 questions answer here. So the first question, Charlie, they're asking, one question was, how not to get tired in battling? How not to get tired in battling, fighting, battling, how not to get tired. And the second portion is, things come and go, okay? And then yet another battles keep coming. So what should we do? Battle after battle. So how should we overcome that? One battle finish, another battle comes. So what is the solution to that?
This is the beauty of our life. Yeah. There's these, I think it's really important not to get tired, because sometimes, this battle within with myself can make me a bit tired and I start to lose my enthusiasm. I think a lot of when we lose enthusiasm for study and practice and things, it's because of the battle within. So I've really got to look at myself. Why do I keep battling? And usually I feel if we identify the main samskara and do work on it, because is it jealousy? Or is it lack of self-respect? Or is it insecurity? Or is it fear? These are the deep things that, and make a plan, just rather than just, sometimes I think Baba's children are so innocent, we sort of listen to the Muli, we have yoga and we just hope one day I'll wake up in the morning and all my sanskaras have gone and I've become an angel. Oh, Baba. If only, but we've got to make a plan of self-transformation and work on it. Yeah, because this isn't the life for battling. For me, this is the life of love. And when love is the foundation, you won't battle so much. There will be some, but not as much. Everyone has to face the self eventually. But what do they say? When it rains, it pours. Sometimes the battles come one after the other. But I mean, once Baba said when I was something like, I don't know how many years in Ghana, a few of us met from foreign countries, Baba said, just that you're sitting here, Baba knows you're strong souls. Because Baba knows we have to go through a lot of battles. We all have to. Everyone sitting here. It's a part of our journey. Don't be afraid. The main thing is, don't be afraid. And secondly, it's not going backwards. As I said before, sometimes the discomfort that battles create, there's only one way out, to go up, to be knowledgeful and change it rather than allow it just to keep going on and on and on.
Yeah, next question Charlie was asking is on a question on blessings. So we understand that when we receive blessings, when we, on this part is when we agree, when we keep moving or keep agreeing to what need to be done. But the question is, if we keep doing that, then when are we going to express our feelings in case of things we don't agree with or whatever we don't agree with? So what should we do? If we don't agree with, we may not get blessings. So how should solve this situation? You get the point? Yeah.
I'm not sure if
So that means that to get blessings, normally what we do is we agree to whatever directions are given. No, we have to agree. We have to not on the things to be done. But the thing is, the question is, if I don't agree to those directions, is if I keep quiet, or if I don't do the things to be done, so I'm not getting blessings. So what should I do at that particular time? Certain things, directions given, if I don't agree to those directions, if I don't do it, I won't get blessings.
There's the master and child principle of Brahman life Baba talks about. And I feel all of us have the right to express what we feel. So if someone gives a direction and I have, sometimes we should be obedient, but if I really feel it's not what I really feel is right, I can say something, but it's the way I say it. Baba's culture, it should always be very respectful, always. Because, the master and child principle is that as a master, each one can offer a view, an opinion. And then, according to what the majority feel, I become a child. And this is how to work in groups. The healthiest thing is to let go my idea. We all have to do it. I think of my Brahman life, thousands of times I've had ideas and I really feel they may work, but others didn't agree. And it's so healthy to say, okay, let it go. If I keep pushing, it has to be, I won't get blessings from the Brahmin family. But so I can offer my idea, but if others feel differently, let go. It's so healthy to give your idea and so healthy to let go as well. We have to not, just like I don't want to be attached to my body. If I'm attached to my ideas, attached to my way, attached to how things should be, that's not healthy either. And sometimes some get so strong, it should be like this, it should be like this. And we keep saying, but others don't feel that. But I don't let go. And so I don't win blessings from hearts. And sometimes you have an idea and others think, yes, everyone says, that's great. We'll go with that. So so this life needs a lot of humility in that way. Once one brother, he was from San Francisco, called Harold. He was quite a personality in the Brahmin family. And he was a very famous psychologist in America. He was from San Francisco. And he was in Melbourne when Daddy Prakashmani was there once. And he said to Daddy that he had been a part of a study of what they call NRMs, which is New Religious Movements of America, 70 groups, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, the spiritual groups. And he said most have a life cycle of 15 to 25 years. And they begin with a teacher, and that teacher has something to offer. A little group of followers come, they have no money, nothing much, but they have a lot of enthusiasm. After some maybe 5, 8, 10 years, a lot of people come. The organization grows fast and there's flourishing, but then a lot of money comes into the organization. And he said almost in all cases, that's when the organization started to go backwards because of, financial problems and corruption and all sorts of things. And so he said to Daddyji, why has the Brahma Kumaris, even when Brahma Baba left, got stronger? And I remember Daddyji said that when she had a big decision to make, she would consult all the main people, like all the daddies and the dadas, the main instruments of the yajna. And you know what she said? Even if I get 75% agreement, I'll still wait for a while for the others to come on board. In other words, you take everyone along with you. You build unity, you carry everyone, rather than just saying, okay, 2/3 agree with me, don't worry about the other third, I'll just go ahead, because to keep the family moving. Now, Daddyji was a remarkable soul. She was so humble, and she had that power to, carry everyone together. And I think it's the healthiest thing to sometimes just let go your idea. You might feel so passionate that you feel this will be the best thing in service in the history of the yajna. But others don't feel it. So just let go. And, the number of times, I suggested things to Didi Nirmala and she didn't agree. Thousands. But it was good. It was healthy for me. I was okay, let go, move on. Don't hold on to it, And I think you win blessings by doing that too, when you can actually let go. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the end of the session. We put our hands together to thank Charlie. Yeah.